And that was sort of the beginning of the true customization of a mattress. We then packaged that all up into a patent and submitted it to a patent office.
Just a quick reminder for you to like, subscribe, and rate this podcast so we can get your feedback and know how to make it better.
Hey, it's Ari. Welcome to another episode of the Made in America podcast. Today, I'm with Bob Zukowski, president of Custom Sleep Technology. Bob, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Ari.
Bob, Made in America podcast. So what do you make and why do you make it?
Well, the first part of that is easy. We make personalized sleep products. The second part, a little more complicated. But let me start with a story. I was at an entrepreneurial meeting down in Stanford a couple years ago, and each of the companies would get up and they'd tell their story. You know, some of this stuff was really cool. And I'm like, if I get up and start talking about mattresses, you know, pardon the pun, I'm going to put everybody to sleep. So I came up with an idea, and I asked a woman out of the audience to come up, and I said, would you put on my blue blazer? I always wear a blue blazer. So she did. And of course, you know, the sleeves came down to her fingertips, and you could put two of her in my blazer. And people were like, what the heck is this guy doing? And I said, you know, we buy our clothes so that they fit us. There's almost an unbelievable amount of sizes that you can have. We buy our eyeglasses just for our eyes. How come we can't buy a mattress that's built for us? Well, that's what custom sleep technology does. But the real why is when you get the body on a mattress in the right position with the right densities, you now have the opportunity to get into that always elusive delta sleep, that stage 4 sleep, where all the great things that happen in our sleep profile can happen. Our memory, our immune system. You know, there's so much research out there, you know, fighting off Alzheimer's, helping with weight loss. You know, there's so many great things, but the only way to get somebody into that position is to custom build the sleep surface. And I try and use sleep surface as opposed to mattress, because people hear mattress, they kind of turn off. But every one of our mattresses and toppers is built specifically to the body characteristics of the person who's going to use it. And we've had a lot of success in being able to accommodate most people.
Well, I say, Bob, for sure that sort of delta sleep, deep REM sleep is ever elusive. Maybe not ever elusive, certainly seems almost ever elusive once you start having kids, but it's certainly, it certainly isn't easy. And I think we all kind of know how great we feel kind of coming out of that, right? Where you've just had that amazing sleep. Sometimes you wake up so rested, you don't even remember where you are.
Right.
And then you start thinking to yourself, what were all the things I did to get into bed tonight so that I can repeat that later? Somehow it doesn't work. So let's get into all of that, talk about sort of what custom sleep technology is, how you guys go about doing it, sort of your journey, into, you know, from using other people to make it to making all this stuff yourself. Want to talk about all that. But before we get into that, let's talk about your personal background. You entrepreneur for a long time, deep manufacturing background. So let's kind of tell the Bob Zukowski story. Where did kind of your journey begin getting into custom sleep technology? Way back when? Way back.
Okay. So I started in manufacturing, and, you know, like a lot of people in this state, you know, you went to one of the big three. And at that time, it was either AFCO, Zukowski, or Pratt & Whitney. So I had 2 out of 3. I started at Zukowski for a couple of years, and then I switched over to AFCO. Now, I'm not an engineer by education, but I worked with a lot of engineers. And I learned a lot about engineering through the people at the company. I also went back to school for an engineering degree, but I never completed it. I switched over and got an MBA. But I think like an engineer. And so I spent a lot of time at AFCO actually in an entrepreneurial environment. We were creating new businesses. We were like an internal consulting company. And if you wanted to start a new business, you came to us, we would evaluate it, see if it was profitable, what the market size was, and then we would go all the way to creating the facility itself and start up a new business or relocate a business to be, to have it, produce better in a different location. So that was kind of my high-tech background. And then I went to work for a company called Latex Foam Products. Now, Latex Foam Products is the precursor to what you know now is Talalay Global. Well, there were a couple iterations. It was Latex Foam Products, and then I started in '96. In 2001, I was in the cosmetic business. We made applicators. We were the world's largest latex applicator manufacturer. And in 2001, the plant burnt down. So I went from being on the cosmetic side to being kind of forced into the bedding side, where they make mattress components and pillows. And eventually I was responsible for all the major S brands in developing products with them and their product development people. So I kind of got a chance to look behind the curtain and see how they do that at a major company. Mm-hmm. And I realized that there might be a better way. Now, as you know, latex comes in multiple densities. Okay, there's 12 different densities that you can use. And as I continued to help them develop product, I realized, this company could really make their own mattresses and compete with a company like Tempur-Pedic. Mm-hmm. But that was not their strategy. They wanted to be a component manufacturer. So I had left the company, and a couple of years later, I had gotten into consulting my own company. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to start this mattress company. And I did. And originally we were using different density layers, full size. So you could have soft on one side, firm on the other. And I was contacted by a trauma surgeon out of New York City. And he said, I need a bed that is going to help me sleep. I could be up operating for 24, 36 hours. Who knows? He said, when I sleep, I need to get the best sleep I possibly can. So he came up to our shop in Shelton, and we pressure mapped his body.
Using?
It's called an Exsensor system. It's a grid of 1,000 sensors that measures pressure.
Did you have this system sort of lying around, or this was something he made the request and you figured out a little bit?
No, I actually had it lying around.
Okay. Because why not?
Well, I actually borrowed it from Talalay Global. And before they asked for it back, I was doing some testing. And he came up, and we got him on the pressure thing, and we looked at all his pressures, from being a side sleeper to a back sleeper. And then I had my friends come in. I said, I need more data. So I got all my friends to come in, and then they wanted it back, so I had to give it back to them. But the thought started, well, there's more pressure on your shoulder than there is on your hip. So to get your spine in alignment, if you're a side sleeper, and by the way, your shoulders are wider than your hips, mm-hmm. we have to drop that shoulder into the mattress. Now your spine is level. Now we take pressure off the bottom, the lower back, the middle back, and we take away the pressure, that causes those tingling feelings in your fingers. And that was sort of the beginning of the true customization of a mattress. We then packaged that all up into a patent and submitted it to the patent office. And in 2021, May of 2021, we got our patent for our design system.
So you're the technology behind custom sleep technology is patent approved?
Patent approved, and we have another one in the way.
Really?
Yep.
So no one else. It's funny how you sort of started. I think I'm sure you've heard the idea that stories sell and facts tell, and I think did a nice job sort of framing up the story about so many things in our life we get designed for us.
Right.
And of course, there's other things you get that are just sort of mass produced, and you got to find your way to fit into something. And I think we all know, even just thinking about a t-shirt, as you were telling the story, I was thinking about a t-shirt. I hate those like one size fits all t-shirt, because it's really one size kind of really fits none, to be honest, right? No, like there's maybe somebody out there that goes, oh, this is just my size, but mostly it's a little too big, a lot too big, a little too small, a lot too small.
Exactly.
Never has the right cut. It's boxy. It's like it's passable for painting, but you're not even really wearing it to a picnic. And it just hadn't really occurred to me that you could do it for sleep. And it just sounds like that's the market you're trying to conquer here.
Exactly.
So what was the purpose of getting all the different data points up front? It was just trying to understand what you need to make, or you had all these people come in and you're measuring all the data for what end? What did you do with all that data?
Well, think of it as you're a force.
Yep.
A mattress is a resistance. So you have to match those to a surface that's not rectangular or has the same pressures. So we're looking at it from an engineering standpoint, that to be able to support your body appropriately, we have to match, let's say I just stopped for lunch and there was a gentleman in the store. He was enormous. I mean, he had shoulders. He was a bodybuilder for sure. He had shoulders out to here, and he had these little tiny hips, and he has this massive chest. Now I'm looking at him going, well, that's probably a 70-30 ratio. How could we drop his shoulders, 6 inches into the mattress?
Right.
But that's how this works. We take everybody's characteristics, and then we calculate, literally, the densities that need to be inside the mattress to put that body in alignment. So we use essentially 4 metrics, and that's height, weight, and the relationship between the shoulders and the hips. And we ask people what their favorite sleep position is.
Meaning stomach, back, side, whatever, yeah.
Right. Now, side sleeping is the best medically, but people like to sleep on their back or their stomach. So we can calculate what the densities of the mattress can be to be able to support that body. For example, one of my first clients when we opened the new place in Shelton, he's 6'4", 250. She's 5'2", 130.
I was about to ask you about couples.
How does that work?
How does that work? Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing where, even if they're closer, well, maybe he's a back sleeper and she's a side sleeper, different configuration. Okay? So we can be very specific in terms of how those densities interact. So, you think of it as a system. Okay, this is a system that supports the body and gets it into alignment with minimal pressure. You hear people say, "Oh, this is a zero gravity chair." There's no such thing as zero gravity. It's always one, no matter where you are.
That's right. So let me ask you just a kind of very specific detail question. When did it occur to you that this was something that was patentable? Like just an interesting thing for you to not just kind of go to market with it, but to say, hey, this is something I think we can get some IP protection on. How'd you know to do that, and what kind of caused you to think that was a place to go with this?
So Talalay Global had a number of patents. So I knew the patent lawyer who had serviced them. So we set up a meeting, and we went down and explained it to him, and he knows the industry. He knows what's out there. Very, very good firm down in Stanford. And he said, well, let us do some research. And they went and tried to find where we would violate somebody else's patent. And they came back and said, you've got an invention here. So we said, okay, let's move forward. So as you probably know, for 1 year it sits. It does nothing. Mm-hmm. So you're in line. And then the day comes when, okay, are we going to move this forward or not? So while we were building up to that date, we were building our website. So we were literally in a meeting. There were 5 of us in the meeting. And my partner's on the phone with the law firm. And the guy who built the website is sitting there with his finger over the enter button. And the lawyer hit the button and sent the patent. He said, "Okay, go." He hit the button and turned the website on. So, it was that close.
Look at that.
So yeah, it's something that I've known for a long time, but then when we kind of put pen to paper and built the patent, and then obviously when, a year and a half later when it was issued, we knew we had something special.
When you were going to go live with this, you had the idea, someone contacted you, you saw the need, you had this concept. Did you do a lot of market research to figure out kind of how big the market was? Did you sort of go with your gut? Like, how did you get that off the ground?
Oh, no, I knew the market. I'd been in the market, and I knew the players. And there's research out there that tells you who does what. So the markets, the segments of the market, there's this real high end where, you can buy a bed for $100,000 or $500,000. That's not us. But there's this sort of middle market, a little bit higher end, where we can fit. We're not going to compete with the $199 or the bed in the box. That's a race to the bottom. Mm-hmm. We have a quality product. And so we're competitive with some of the bigger brand names, and we, in my opinion, of course, we have a better product. So I know the market very well. I mean, I had seen it not only from the manufacturing side but also from the retail side.
So when it comes down to actually, Bob, what I would get, is it a mattress? Is it a mattress topper? Like, can you make my existing bed customized for me, or do I got to get something else? Like, kind of maybe walk me through sort of the process. Let's just start with that. Actually, educate me here. So I want to sleep better. I call, I presume, or go to the website. Mm-hmm. What happens?
So if you're just trying to update, you just bought a new mattress and it's not working. You can try a topper, which will be custom designed. So you fill out our questionnaire online. We get, so part of that questionnaire is, do you have any other issues? Like, do you have any physical issues or things that we should know about to consider? And I'll give you a good example. I have a customer who only sleeps on her back. And in the profile, she wrote that her tailbone is very sensitive, okay, whether it was an injury or whatever. So we were able to accommodate that by putting 2 pieces of firmer material and the softest material where her tailbone sits. So we can be that specific. We know her height, we know where she's going to be on the mattress, and we put that soft material to cushion or to minimize the pressure on her tailbone. So you fill that out, and then we design the topper, and we send that back to you and say, here's your design. This is why we chose this design. Mm-hmm. Okay? And then obviously you can buy through that document. If it's a mattress, you do the same thing. It's virtually the same questionnaire, but you identify it as a mattress, your side, your partner's side, and then any issues, we then design a full mattress system. Now the system itself is layered. So there's 3 layers, 3 3-inch layers. And this only came about by experience. We used to use a 2-inch top layer, and that we determined was useless. It's just not enough material. So the top and middle layer is how we maneuver the body, if you will. So that guy I mentioned earlier, at lunch, his shoulder area was going to be really soft. But I still had to support what looked like a man who weighed 250 pounds, because he was also very tall. And so the modular system that we built will accommodate his body. Now let's say his wife, is the 5'2" variety. We happen to be able to, and she's a back sleeper. Different design. We put that all in a document. Here's why we chose this design based on your parameters, and that's their proposal. We actually send them a proposal.
And so the idea at the end of the day is we want to align your back effectively, and you essentially are using different levels of like pressure points after mapping somebody to figure out how do I adjust the bed, because like we're all probably used to buying a firm mattress, a semi-firm mattress, whatever, which is essentially the same everywhere, which doesn't particularly help if I need my shoulders to be a little bit deeper into the bed than my hips. I think you're smiling at me because I'm just repeating and stating the obvious here. So that's what it's really all about. So it's just sort of saying, just the same way, going back to your blazer concept, you just sort of take the different measurements, right? Your shoulder, your arm length, whatever, and you're going to be able to say, hey, this is how we're going to build this thing so that it's going to put you in the most even position to sleep.
Correct. Which, as I mentioned earlier, gives you the best opportunity to get into that deep sleep. That's the end game. I've slept on mattresses. I've had the opportunity to travel around the world a few times, and some of those beds are horrible. And when you get back to yours and it's a little better, you sleep a whole lot better. So it's
maybe that's why your bed over time feels better, right? Because the parts that are poking in start to like give it a little bit of a give,
away,
right? Yeah, it's sort of like that old shoe.
Yeah. And that's why latex is such a great product. Okay, it lasts forever. I mean, it's 10, 15 years, whereas opposed to some of the polyurethanes, they only last a couple of years.
Right.
And they start to give way.
And once they start breaking down, now you're just going to start lumping up all over the place.
Right. And now you're sleeping on the firmer pieces below.
Got it. So you come up with the idea, and then I know that, at first, I think you guys were outsourcing a lot amount of the fabrication of these products, but you've changed that. So maybe walk us through sort of that story. Like, why did you decide initially to have someone else do it, and why did you decide to do it yourself later on?
So the company that was doing my fabrication, his father was the founder of Latex Foam Products.
Got it. Okay.
So he and I had worked together for many years. He started his own company and he was foam manufacturing, not the bedding material, other types of material. So he was doing mattresses. He had the sawing capabilities. And so I would just offload the operation or the assembly to him.
Yep.
Well, just prior to COVID, they decided they were going to retire. They give me plenty of heads up and said, we're going to step back. So COVID came, and so things kind of quieted down for a while, except we sold a lot of pillows.
I bet.
And so I was teaching at the time, so everything was online. And so my girlfriend and I moved all the inventory over to her place, and we sold everything out of her living room, literally. And I, fortunately and unfortunately, I came down with cancer during 2021. And so I was treated for that. By August 14th of 21, I was cancer-free and remained so.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that's when I decided that we were going to do our own operation, and I figured out a way to create my own fabrication. And this way, I have control of the quality. Everything is hand cut and fitted appropriately. So that's sort of the strategy we're going to use going forward, is that we will be the manufacturer. And I'm learning a lot about how to manufacture and cut foam and assemble it and glue it when necessary. So I have that knowledge going forward.
And have you found that that's been able to give you the control that you were looking for to be able to grow the business? Yeah.
Yeah, we've tripled the size of the business since we opened this fabrication/retail location in Shelton.
And what's that? And what do you think has been what's the connection between those two things?
Well, one is that I'm full-time. Okay, I resigned from teaching. I'm full-time. And we've spent a lot more effort in our SEO efforts. We've done some online advertising, various platforms that we've been engaged with, such as the Mattress Underground. We're in the process of engaging with others. So that full-time effort has certainly paid off. People who do make an appointment and come in for a fitting, of all the people who have come in, and I've probably had 20, only one did not buy. So that model of getting people in and building the mattress right there, and let me just explain that a moment. Because this is modular, inside the showroom we only have 3 mattresses, but we can make hundreds of different configurations. So we start a person on a mattress that would be appropriate for their weight, and then we take segments in and out
in real time.
In real time. So we get them down. We say, "Oh, let me take a picture of your back and show you your back," and we'll say, "Oh, see, this your back has a curve to it." Okay, I'm going to open it up. I go in, I take 1 or 2 segments out, put 2 others in. Let's take another picture, look at your back. And they'll typically say, "Wow, that really feels different. That feels so much better." Because people don't understand what aligned on a mattress really means. But when they experience it, they get it. So that process, again, is something that we can take forward into the retail environment.
So do you view, I know the vast majority of your sales have been online, and I can see the reach and all that stuff and staffing. There's probably a million reasons that makes online selling a lot more amenable than having to deal with people in person. But it sounds like, at least on a small sample size, the ratio of getting people in has been pretty strong. Do you think about expansion, kind of looking at owning your own sort of retail? Would you partner with other retailers to try and get in? Is that something on your radar to think about?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
So I think there's a reason to have our own retail operations, mostly for learning and R&D. So I'm considering a couple of locations, maybe in some key geographical markets. Partnering with others is really how we want to expand the business. Working with other retailers who are looking for something unique, something a little bit higher end than sort of the off-the-shelf mattress, and that we'll be able to give them. And part of this story is about the technology that we want to use to be able to give them that opportunity to build a custom mattress. So we'd like to get into some of our own, get into other retailers, and we also use an affiliate network, which is part of our marketing strategy right now.
Affiliate network?
Affiliate marketing.
Yeah, how does that work?
So affiliate marketing there's a whole network of marketers out there who talk about, let's say, golf clubs, okay? And so they have an audience. Now, I've been a long-time golfer, played golf in college. I was a scratch golfer at one time. I know my back hurts when I play golf. So that blogger or website may want to promote a product like mine to help a golfer's back. I'll tell you a little side story. We made a bed for Tiger Woods. He was playing in New Jersey, and he made a comment to the press that his back was hurting. So a friend of mine called me up and said, "Make a bed for Tiger Woods. I'll figure out how to get it to him." So through various golf connections that he had, somebody knew his caddy. So I built the mattress. We drove it into Manhattan. Tiger's playing across the river in New Jersey, but somehow the connection never got made. We never got to the caddy, and the day ended and it was late, and nothing was going to happen. But we did make the mattress for Tiger. Now, one of my business partners sleeps on it. It didn't help his golf game any, but we did. So affiliate marketing is connecting with all those people who have followers who might have an interest in offering our product where it makes sense in their market.
Sort of relationships, right? Finding people that know the people and that would have similar customers, working with them, and expand your reach.
Yep. And so they would then, if somebody goes from their website into ours, obviously that connection is tracked, and they would get a commission for that sale.
Got it.
So
essentially building out your own sale. It's building out like a sales force.
It's
without
exactly
having to
building out a sales force. Correct.
So is this your first sort of direct to consumer business?
Yes. Yeah.
And so now that you're, 4 years in, how is it shaping up to how you thought it was going to be when you started it?
Well, the direct to consumer at this point is just a starting point. Mm. Eventually, with that network of affiliates or retailers, and maybe one or two of our own stores, we're going to get out of the direct to consumer, and we're going to supply that network with product.
Interesting.
So we'll control the design, and they will control the sales relationship.
So you're going to get out of the DTC business. This was just to get off the ground, proof of concept, generate the market, show that there's demand, but then leverage other people's investments in retail or customer engagement. Correct. To actually get it in people's hands.
Or franchise. We have 500 square feet in our retail space. Franchise that, okay? And we'll do the fabrication. You go to any major mattress company or retailer, there's 5,000 square feet and 50 mattresses. Mm-hmm. We can make hundreds of mattresses in 500 feet.
Right.
Sounds like a value proposition to me.
There you go. I can see that entrepreneurial spirit's happening. So it's been a really good start. Sounds like you've gotten things off the ground. You continue to see the business grow. Mm-hmm. What are kind of your next immediate plans, either for technology or expansion in the next couple of years to keep the momentum?
Well, the technology side is really where we want to go now. So one technology that we did create already is a 3D camera scan that will give us body metrics. It's all about the data. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you can stand in front of this and it'll take a full-length picture, and the software will dimensionalize the body, head to belly button, shoulders, hips, total height. All we need to know is your weight and your sleeping position. So that piece of technology, you go to a retailer and they can put it in. The algorithm designs the bed, and they can build it right there for their customer. So that's one piece of technology. The other piece, obviously, is the algorithm, the math that does the design. Okay, so that's in the works or pretty much done. Another piece of technology is we want to have a phone app. So literally, you could take your phone, take a full-length picture of your partner, or have somebody take a full-length picture of you, dimensionalize that picture, and grab the same data. Now you can get a custom mattress built with a picture. Okay. Another piece of technology, and this we have a prototype on, there's a lot of sleep measurement tools out there. Some are better than others. A lot of them are based on accelerometers that are, movement based.
To try and figure out how good the quality of your sleep is
right.
at night. Yeah.
So we have another technology that is not accelerometer based. I don't want to get too far into that one,
right.
But it'll tell us how well you're sleeping and how much you're moving, but not with that accelerometer.
Interesting.
Much different technology.
With the idea being?
Sort of your sleep coach. So let's say you have this system embedded in your mattress, and we see that you're bouncing around. Now, you may not, when somebody moves on a mattress, they may not come to consciousness, mm-hmm. but they come out of that deep sleep, they make a decision to move or to roll over, and they come out, and then they have to get back in again. So if we see this sort of movement, I can say, hey, there's something wrong with our mattress. Maybe we need to update a piece. Maybe something failed. Maybe something changed in your body profile. Maybe you've added 15. Maybe you took off 15 pounds. You know, whatever happens, we can analyze that and say, hey, you know, I think we need to update your system.
Your system. Damn, look at that. This is who knew there was so much technology available in sleeping.
Yeah, no, it's all up in this brain, but you know, somehow we got to get it into a code.
Well, Bob, I got to tell you, it's a really interesting journey. And I think, you know, it's always really inspiring, I think, to talk to new entrepreneurs that are getting things going. And listen, you've had a deep history in manufacturing, a lot of different things, even done some teaching, but still found your way to kind of invest in a new business and get things going. I think it's great.
Thank you.
And we certainly wish you a ton of success as you continue to grow this thing, technology and otherwise. So certainly appreciate that. I'm going to wrap us up with a few final questions. We'll end it up.
Sure.
You ready to go, Bob?
I'm ready.
Hey, Bob, if you had to do something other than be the president of Custom Sleep Technology, what would you do with your time?
Well, I used to be a score counselor. I don't know if you're
Yep.
are you familiar
I am
with
familiar
score?
with score, sure.
Okay. So I did that for a while, and then it took too much of my time, so I had to stop the counseling and work on the business. But I would definitely go back to doing that again, because you know every entrepreneur makes mistakes, and you know those are just learning opportunities. And if I can help somebody else along the way, I would do that.
More power to
Other
it.
than that, you know, become a professional golfer. That might be behind me by now.
Very nice. Do you have a favorite business book?
I do. A lot of the stuff that Michael Porter wrote.
Business strategy.
Yeah, strategy. You know, I used to tell my students that, you know, remember these three words: strategic competitive advantage. And a lot of Michael's books were about, you know, competitive advantage. And that's the way I view our company. What is our strategic competitive advantage? You know, you can make a mug today, but how are you going to make it better tomorrow? Or what are you going to bring what's the advanced mug? What's the next step? Mm-hmm. And I think we're just kind of getting started. So strategic competitive advantage is really how we look at what we're doing. And you know, Michael Porter's been exceptional in writing those books.
That's really good feedback. I think people will get a lot out of that. Personal question, Bob. When you take time off, you a staycation man or exotic destination?
Staycation. Yeah, like I said, I've been around the world a couple of times, although we are going to Paris in November. So,
but generally,
just for
keep
fun.
it chill. I like it.
Yeah.
Bob, what's something that you learned early in your life or early in your career that you think's helped propel you to all the success that you've had?
Never give up. Never give up. You know, in this entrepreneurial journey, there's good days and there's bad days. When I first started, they had more of an effect on me. Today, not so much, because I know tomorrow is going to be different. You know?
Water off a duck's back.
Yeah. And, you know, you got to, when I go in the morning, I write down 3 things I got to accomplish. And I really try and do those 3 things, no matter what happens. You know, the phone rings, somebody comes in, a customer calls or whatever. I try and get those 3 things done. And when I go home at night, I say, okay, I got those 3 things done, or I missed one. That goes on the top of the list tomorrow.
Keep progress moving forward. Bob, what's something that you learned later in your life or later in your career that if you could go back and tell young Bob, if he'd listen to you, you think have a real positive impact on his life?
Start early.
Early in life, early in the day.
Start early in life. You know, I've always wanted to have my own company. I just never knew what it was. And fortunately or unfortunately, you know, I mean, I've had a fabulous career, and I've learned an awful lot. I've interacted with a lot of really smart people, and I learned from every one of them. And you know, if I had to go back, I would have liked to have started something, you know, in my 30s and not in my 50s. But right now, it really doesn't matter. You know, we're on this journey. I think we have one of the best products on the market, and we're just going to keep going.
Well, listen, Bob, I think it's terrific. Certainly proof that it's never too late.
Absolutely.
We certainly wish you the best of luck, and thanks for coming on today.
Thank you, Ari. Thanks for having me.
Made in America with Ari Santiago is brought to you by CompassMSP.
Thanks for listening and spending some time with me today. My goal is to help build a strong manufacturing community, and it would be impossible to do without all of you.